apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Level crossing removal project. Major construction blitz. New Union Station open late May 2023.
Passengers, just a reminder this train terminates at Box Hill.
Good morning, stakeholders. It's WATERMAN. Yeah, I think it's better if
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
stakeholders, it's WATERMAN, and there you have it. That's the replacement train bus experience as the shuttle, just out of frame, curls around that little curve and curves around a little curve. Stunning wordsmithery of WATERMAN. What we're doing. This is the worst news. Can we stop now? Getting around during the works. So I just can't stop thinking about GM. It's just.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
You might think I'm showing you just pictures of trains. I've got an obsession with trains, but no. What you're seeing is evidence of the contribution we make to the Melbourne transport infrastructure. And here's the people that benefit from it. Basically, we're surrounded by them.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
I thank you for coming with me, and I encourage you to stay with me.
Hill and Camberwell, and I wish you take replacement.
We'll continue right now. Back to business.
Good morning, passengers. Just a reminder this train terminates at Box Hill.
Level crossing removal project. Major construction blitz. New Union Station open late May 2023. Good morning, stakeholders. It's WATERMAN.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Stakeholders, it's WATERMAN, and there you have it. That's the replacement train bus experience as the shuttle, just out of frame, curls around that little curve and curves around a little curve. Stunning wordsmithery of WATERMAN.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
You might think I'm showing you just pictures of trains. I've got an obsession with trains, but no. What you're seeing is evidence of the contribution we make to the Melbourne transport infrastructure. And here's the people that benefit from it. Basically, we're surrounded by them. What we're doing. Getting around during the works. So we've arrived back at Box Hill Central. We've got off the express bus from Camberwell, and that bus continues stopping all stations to Ringwood. And I can tell you, it was pretty full. So we're just going to go through a couple of things that I haven't explained yet, or maybe rush through them. The replacement train buses operating today out of kilter for a working weekday, which has been established since the 17th of February. So for the commuters who are off to their computers at office cubicle heaven, today there is no express bus direct from Blackburn to Camberwell, but the bus does go Blackburn, Laburnum, Box Hill Express to Camberwell. And when you're in a rush, and let's say you know, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing, whether you're going to school or the office or wherever, dentist appointment. I've got to make that phone call. if you're rushing for a bus that's, you know, it's not waiting for you to find out exactly what you need to know for your individual journey. That's going to take off. So if you have to ask a question to the attendant, and it's a fact that they're not locals, and for them to explain a service that they're not familiar with to and from destinations that aren't familiar to them, you've got communication issues. At the Camberwell end, it's running smooth as silk.
Good morning, passengers. Just a reminder, this train terminates at Box Hill.
Getting around during the works changes to the way you travel, drivers. Yeah, I think it's better if...
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Those our colleagues on traffic control there. Look, every so often, I'll just touch on this briefly, that every so often, old waterman comes across a colleague on traffic control, or it could be a work site colleague, could be a colleague on replacement train bus services on duty there. And different individuals will have different sensibilities in our experience, in my experience. And it'd be great if Old Waterman was a household brand name in the industry, and it'd be great if there was some type of public transport infrastructure celebrity culture, but there's not. And so each time we have to have a conversation with our colleagues, and there are so many people working this project, and Camberwell being the best example of how far this project extends outside the footprint of the occupied worksite at Surrey Hills and Mont. And our colleagues at ATC Traffic Control in Camberwell, ATC is also on duty at Surrey Hills and Mont. So it just happened to be that this morning, the particular people that were rostered on to do traffic this morning at the end of Cookson Street, intersecting with Burke Road, outside the Palace Hotel. And hello to you, all the happy pokey players that are waiting for the doors to open. After we had an introduction with the good lady, who at that point was at the end of Cookson Street. As Old Waterman was just deciding what to do next, she came back over for a second conversation and directed me to talk to her team leader. And her team leader was quite officious and adamant, and she's doing her job. And I respect anyone who does their job properly, and it was her view in her role as team leader that Old Waterman needed to go through official channels to do what we were doing. And so I never pull out the old this is a public space, I can film where I want. I never pull out that card because I respect my colleagues, and I don't like to take advantage of them or the environment. So that's why they made a quick exit to the nearest tram stop. And you saw the result. So in a way, and these things tend to happen sometimes on these investor relations tours, that a little obstacle or a little challenge often leads to a more creative result or outcome. As the business people like to say, they love their outcomes and KPIs. And hopefully I've met my KPIs this morning, that you got a good look around the Camberwell area.
There's replacement buses between Box Hill and Camberwell.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Getting around during the works changes to the way you travel, pedestrians. And it's Waterman, good morning stakeholders, and we're at the site of the former Blackburn Level Crossing Removal Project. We're on the northern side of the train line, and so there's no need for Old Waterman to be rushing around this extremely busy area. You've seen it before, you're going to see it again. We're into the second month of shutdown, We've got another good 4 weeks to go in the middle section of this shutdown, and we're still got a good 2 months to go. All of March, all of April. Hang on a second. All of March, all of April. And I'm losing track. So you'll be seeing plenty of Box Hill again and these replacement train buses, but this is our dedicated presentation of these services.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Getting around during the works. Changes for the way you travel, train users. And we're going to be telling you this morning about the impediments to our progress at Surrey Hills and Mont. And we're also going to be just quickly showing you the finished works here now. Another topic that I'm going to feature is there has been a little bit of mainstream media press coverage of the commuter journey and the different options that different commuters, and they've been featured. And hello to you, the 109 pulling into the Box Hill Tram Terminus. And so we're going to investigate some behind the scenes, some of the challenges that some commuters have faced, and some of the interesting travel alternatives. We're going to feature that quite specifically.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
2023 major work schedule, and you can see that traffic is still banked up, and the traffic does not flow that easily because LXRA Vic roads come on. That roundabout is still there, and there is traffic amongst the gum trees. And then just hitting the mainstream media today, as my brain clicks through the gears, search into that library. What were they saying? Passenger numbers. A good time to talk about passenger numbers, especially when those passenger numbers, also got to be reflected on replacement train bus services. So passenger numbers, and this will be another topic coming up in another presentation. I think that's a Stopping All Stations bus just took off, because I think the expresses are still down that way. And you can see the number of the amount of foot traffic through these pedestrian traffic lights does not diminish. So a lot of people have chosen not to take an extra day off for their long weekend. But getting back to passenger numbers, it's interesting that at the moment, passenger numbers throughout the Melbourne transport network, public transport network, they're only back to 80% of the levels that they were before March 2020. Now, do I really need to say what that particular date means? I don't think I do, because we all know what's been going on over the last few years. And logic says I'm not spoon-feeding my audience, so I'm pretty sure you all know why passenger numbers dropped off. Do I need to say any more? So I'm going to also be giving you some facts and figures about passenger numbers in Melbourne. 80% of the levels they were before March 2020. And that's incredibly interesting. So
we apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Tell you all about it, that STM Asia Pacific Construction, we're proud of our work at Blackburn, and we're trying our best to contribute at Surrey Hills under very trying circumstances, because this all ties into development around the announcement of the suburban rail loop, which was just before March 2020, and actually just over here, behind to the left of those pedestrians, there was a lot of site investigations works where engineers were drilling into the earth about that width with their geological devices to take soil samples back, because Box Hill is going to be the most northern point of the first section of the suburban rail loop, which is a project Dan Andrews, that man Dan Andrews, has announced, a 90-kilometre underground, automatically driven, autonomous train underground for the whole 90 kilometres from Cheltenham, or is it a little bit further than Cheltenham? But anyway, Cheltenham being Southland, from Cheltenham to Box Hill will be the first section constructed. And there'll only be about 7 stops, and some of these stations will be in new areas where no trains have ever gone before. Star Trek. And the idea is, and it's been approved, not just mooted or discussed, and Dan Andrews, we know that man Dan Andrews, when he makes a decision, that decision sticks. It sticks. 90 kilometres from Cheltenham, the outer, ringing the outer suburbs of Melbourne, touching through, well, not touching, going to, come on, Waterman, Melbourne Tullamarine Airport, International Airport, and then finishing in Werribee, I think. So when you put all this together in terms of passenger numbers, you can, with the government, the federal government accelerating immigration, the population exploding and accelerating constantly, and areas like Box Hill, and that's why Old Waterman, I'm really enjoying showcasing Box Hill as an example, becoming a regional hub for government offices, the ATO building directly behind the camera, and all of these office and residential developments. Box Hill TAFE has not been expanding as much as you might think in recent years, but Eastern Health, being Box Hill Box Hill Hospital, which I've seen the inside of far too much over this last week, and associated allied health services expanding around the Box Hill Hospital site. And you begin to see why the Surrey Hills Mont Albert level crossing removal project is so important and crucial to the flow of passengers, that eventually they're going to come back to the levels they were, and they're going to surpass those levels. And with these growing hubs of super hubs of commercial and business activity, and in some hubs like Clayton and Caulfield, where tertiary activity, the underground loop within touching distance of Deakin University eventually. So all of this begins to form a bigger picture, of which is around the topics that really stimulate my professional interest in the microcosm of works that is Surrey Hills and Mont Albert, that it all ties back. So as you watch the commuters getting on these replacement train buses to go to their office computers, and is it office cubicle heaven? For some, definitely. For others, probably not. You can see the bigger picture. Coffees and Cranes view our work.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
With different things happening, but yeah, I think it's better if and as we clock into the 15-minute zone of this particular presentation, the last topic that I want to touch on while I think of it is that Box Hill is also not just accelerating and exploding in terms of the office and residential towers that just seem to be coming out of nowhere. And the Sky One development is directly behind that gum tree. Now that Sky One development was just a glint in the eye of the architect who designed it. And as another tram pulls into the Box Hill terminus, and the ATO was the first commercial building development here, and as you'll know, to left my left, there's a lot of development in that space between Nelson Road, Box Hill and Elgar Road, Box Hill. And there's going to be more, because behind my right shoulder is Box Hill Shopping Centre, run by Vicinity Shopping Centres. And I might have or might not have touched on this before, but we'll go deep into this now, because it all ties in why the public transport infrastructure around this area is so important and is being driven so much by the Andrews Victorian state government, and why commercial developers and big retailers like Vicinity are standing up and taking notice and saying, well, maybe it's time for us to regenerate. Now, we've got things under control here for the shutdown tonight. As you can see, the occupation is pretty much ready to go. I'm not recording your voice or anything. Waterman, yes, there's going to be, eventually there has to be, a redevelopment, and it's been talked about for years, the Box Hill Transport Hub, the interchange of train, bus and tram. Now the tram terminus is kind of sweet, but it's an ongoing issue with commuters and the local Whitehorse Council and the bus operators, that the bus interchange that sits up the top, would you believe, when you get off one of those smart buses, as they drop you off at any one of those up to 15 stops, you've got to transit down a single stair escalator, and there's only a single staircase going up as escalator, and then you've got to go down through the inside retail, the interior retail area of Box Hill Shopping Centre, which is the northern part of the shopping centre. Behind my left shoulder is the southern part of the shopping centre, and then you've got to go down another set of escalators or stairs or lift to get to the train platform. So in a modern world, does that infrastructure still hold up? And no, it doesn't.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
All the equipment brought in thanks to the logistics extraordinaires, all the planning and preparation well under control. Now Vicinity is a major global, not as big as Westfield Shopping Centres, it's got to be said, but Vicinity Shopping Centres, which I think used to be, it was a Metro or something, I think the name was. I've probably got it wrong, but it's now Vicinity. Now, late last year, it was publicly announced in an article in the Melbourne Age, the main masthead for print media news in Melbourne, that Vicinity Shopping Centres had bypassed Whitehorse Council and gone directly to Dan Andrews, his planning minister, who approved the plans for a slightly altered redevelopment. It was already known because it was the planning minister announcement was early this year, a few weeks ago, but late last year it was announced that there was just going to be an approval by the council that all of that area, not the mall, but all of the area behind my right shoulder and behind my head, all of that shopping centre was going to be demolished within 2 years, and works had to be completed within 10 years, or they've got to apply for a permit all over again. And all of those shops emptied. Coles has left, OPSM has left, a lot of larger little chains have left. Harris Scarf might have left, and there's just the mini markets, the fruit and veggies. Those businesses left, and they'll clear out because this Vicinity wants all those businesses cleared out and gone, so they can demolish the shopping centre, which is 2 levels mostly, and a 3rd level of offices in its most eastern aspect of the building. And that's all going to be cleared. The car park's going to be completely removed and built on, and there's going to be a Spanish Steps type plaza nestled into the south-east corner, which is the current entrance, and at this side, car parks, this side shopping centre, and all that's going to go, and it'll be not flat, it'll be kind of a raised, and then it'll go through to the old Market Street, which used to front the old Box Hill station. It'll be tree-lined avenue. Now this is the artist's impression, and there'll be an office tower, dedicated office space, dedicated office/residential and retail, and all revamped. Now, what was approved by the planning minister, because of vicinity, went straight to her and said, you know what, we want to do a little bit more, which is probably said by every commercial property developer in response to plans approved. They just think of, hang on, I left something out, or I want to do a little bit more to just squeeze that extra dollar out of this space. And the planning minister ruled over the top of the council and said, yep, approved, but the plans are actually going to be now extra towers, including, get this, a 70-storey tower. 70-storey tower, whereas the biggest one before was maybe 20, 25. So there's big stakes at play. There is big bucks at play. There is a lot riding on the planning minister's decision, which impacts the way people live around here, the way they move in and out of the area, and the way they socialise. And it'll completely, I mean, the original plan that was approved late last year, that'll completely transform this suburb as it is. But it doesn't matter whether it's going to be the current approved one or the mooted approved and by the planning minister, what she's done, given it extra scope. It's going to be a transformation. Where the Surrey Hills station will close for the last time.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Cease operations, and also the Mont station, Mont Road and Union Road are going to shut for the next 4 months. So then if you bring it back to the Surrey Hills Mont level crossing removal project, if you bring it back to even the yet to be started suburban rail loop, forget about, not even mentioned the Melbourne Airport rail link direct from the city to Tullamarine. This is the first time I've ever even mentioned it, actually, to you investors. And now you see how it all starts to, can you see how these Surrey Hills Mont Albert, as big a project as that is, as complex, as complicated, when you think of the bigger picture, that's just a small part, and this is just the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, just a tiny microcosm, a footprint of a much bigger plan. And you can see that Dan Andrews, with the political capital that he built up with his amazing return to office late last year, we always knew he had the political will anyway. And if you thought Jeff Kennett, for those of you who are based in Victoria, if you thought he was progressive and proactive and forward-thinking and got things done, well, Dan Andrews he's looking good for that statue outside Spring Street alongside John Cain and Henry Bolte. To the stakeholders that it'll be shut for 4 months while they dig a 1.3 kilometre trench, about 200,000 cubic metres of dirt.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
Being dug up and transported to places unknown. So I hope that possibly gives a really thorough, hopefully well articulated outline of why these investor relations tours exist and why STM Asia Pacific Construction goes to the effort of giving you an insight on the ground and then try to give you context with the geography of the area, the experiences of the locals, the experience of the workers. There's a lot going on. making coverage of the shutdown.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
And old Waterman, the way I see my job is to make sure that if you're an investor from interstate or overseas, and the idea of investing in Victoria's future, Melbourne's future, and let's face it, Australia's future, if that's something that you want to be a part of that excites you, these investor relation tours, the whole reason they exist is to just try and bring some evidence, try and bring some context, and emphasise what it is about this community. And how it will benefit from these works and how we integrate into these communities as we do the work. But after we finish the work and after we leave our work sites and we go on to our next project, there's a legacy that we're building and leaving, and that we're going to be proud to look back on because we were a part of building it. But we also want you to be very satisfied and content that it's not just your dollars going in, but the interest in our community that you're putting in with your participation in investing in our projects, because you're investing in our communities. You can see behind me the Union Road level crossing, which we've comprehensively covered over the last 2 weeks on the investor relations tours for STM Asia Pacific Constructions.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
With day and night operations from today, Friday the 17th of February 2023, from 8:30 p.m, this shutdown, and it'll go till mid-May to late May. Mid-May the roads will open back up with the new bridges over the rail line, and the roads will reopen about late May. Trains will start running. But I'll tell you what, I've been flat to the boards with the Safety Risk Audit Committee. STM Asia Pacific can confirm that there was a significant safety breach at its live work site, the Surrey Hills Mont level crossing removal project. STM Asia Pacific can confirm that there was during the week. It involved a heavy piece of infrastructure. The permit was not approved. There's a significant breach of safety at a live work site during the week at the Surrey Hills Mont level crossing removal project. We had to sit on the road outside the local traders. The incident revolved around the failure of the approval of a work permit. And yes, we're not looking for scapegoats at this time. No, we're not looking for scapegoats. Yes, I can confirm it. It revolved around, if you just let me finish, and we will be looking into this. No, we're not looking for scapegoats at this stage. We admit that, yes, it did cause a lot of interruption and distress to the local residents as it was applied for to move heavy infrastructure. Well, and we're terribly embarrassed about this. And onto site, yes, it was the new station modules, and we sincerely apologise. We're terribly embarrassed about this. Yes, we're all in shock. Incident, we're all in shock, and we are conducting a safety risk assessment audit. And we're deeply distressed about the interruption, which I will be leading, inconvenience and the distress it caused to the local residents that I've been brought in from the Metro Tunnel projects and the local traders. Look, we'll be undertaking a work safety assessment of the site. I really can't say any more at this. I'll be leading that stage. If that review, you want any further information, been pulled in from the Metro Tunnel project. Yes, Abby, and is our communication. If you really want to consult that, you do need to talk. Look, I really can't say any more, and I really can't say any more. No, you really should talk to. Look, I really can't say any more. Really can't say any more. No, I really can't say any more at this stage. Look, I really can't say any more. Look, I really can't say any more, and I really can't say any more. No, look, I really can't say any more. Look, I really have to wrap it up there. Thank you for your time. If you want further information, and there's nothing. No, there's no more statements at this time. No, thank Abby, our communications executive, our communications consultant, No, thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. No, thank you. Thanks. No, thank you. Thanks. I really can't say anymore. No, thank you. Thanks. No, thank you. Thanks. You should talk to Abby. We're still investigating why that work permit wasn't executed properly. The prefab station structure, two long loaders resting on the back of that long loader outside the local traders, and that kicked things off. It couldn't have got off to a worse start, to be honest. And I've been playing catch up, chasing my tail for the last 4 weeks. I did a board presentation last week, the business case for extra resources, but also...
We apologise for any inconvenience caused. We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
There's replacement buses between Box Hill and Camberwell.
Good morning, stakeholders. It's Waterman. Now, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you that the Churchill Cafe was up for auction? If you didn't believe me, you should have. All right, chaps. I just wanted to make sure I stop while you're walking down because it's not fair.
As long as we're looking sharp.
Well, you look sharp to me, that's for sure. That's those chaps. A couple of jolly fellows, but they're not stopping for a coffee at the Churchill Cafe today. I'm not recording your voice or anything. Waterman, some transport consultant. To business.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.
So I just can't stop thinking about GM. It's just the worst news. Can we stop now? Yeah. And thank you for investing your time with me. My name's Waterman. I'm a transport consultant, and it's my job to act as a liaison between STM Asia Pacific and the state government, and the Transport Minister in particular, to advise on the timelines of the contract that's been awarded to this firm to ensure that the project timelines are being met. So if you are an investor from interstate or overseas, it's my pleasure to welcome you here today for the and for the remainder of this project, the Surrey Hills Mont Albert Level Crossing Removal Project. We'll continue taking short tours of the site, and I thank you for coming with me, and I encourage you to stay with me, and we'll continue right now. Back to business.